joining us now with some insight into the presidential race is Josh Blank with the Texas Politics Project. Thanks for being back, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
So we talked to you last after the Republican National Convention as well. Of course, a lot has changed since then. I feel like we've lived several lives since we last saw you.
That's true.
So talk to us about what you have seen. Of course, now it's a Trump-Harris race. So what impact has that switch on the Democratic ticket have you seen? What are voters and how are they responding to it?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, we have to put this in a context, right? Which is that these conventions are really about activating the partisans. And what we mean here is, for the Republicans, it's about reminding Republicans why they're Republicans. For Democrats who may not be as attached to the ongoings of politics, it's about reminding them why they're Democrats. But clearly, what has been probably one of the most notable things about this convention so far has been the enthusiasm Democrats have been showing. I mean, it's been essentially almost a full 180 from a month ago in which Democrats were really worried about this election cycle, not just at the top of the ticket, but up and down the ticket. And to move ahead to this week, they almost seem bullish about their chances in November.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, they use joy as part of their slogan, hope and joy. So let's talk about Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who is now the vice presidential pick for Kamala Harris. What impact do you think that he'll have, and not just on the base, but those important swing voters that everyone tries to attract?
Yeah, I think, in general, the selection of a VP candidate tends to be a little bit over-interpreted, and the expectation is a little bit high for what they can do. But ultimately, as a Midwestern governor, he does bring a different flavor to the ticket, especially given what might be seen as somewhat of a weakness, which is Vice President Harris's home state of California, which in and of itself carries a lot of baggage with it for a lot of voters in a lot of places, especially here in Texas.
So talking about Texas, there's been a lot of conversation about Texas identity in this election. I know we saw, some suggestions that it could even be considered a swing state, that coming from former Texas Congressman candidate Beto O'Rourke. So talk to us about what the impact of a Harris-Walz ticket could have on Texas and how we vote.
Yeah, look, for Democrats here in Texas, the hill is still pretty large when it comes to winning an election. But what we've seen in the last number of years is Democrats chipping away, and it requires a certain amount of luck in some ways, context. And looking at this race, a couple years out, the idea of a Republican ticket topped by Donald Trump, who is a polarizing figure, but also Senator Cruz, who is equally polarizing, it leads Democrats to think that there's an opportunity here to mobilize their voters. Having said that, it's still going to require a Herculean effort to make this a really competitive state. I don't think we're there just yet.
You know what gets me is that when we look at all these polls that are coming out, so many different polls, but they always are pretty much neck and neck. Like I think right now at the moment, Kamala Harris has a slight edge over Trump, in a lot of polls, but that's expected during conventions and things. And also she's new to the ticket. Yeah. But how is it that they could be so exact? Because I mean, America is not just like you're either that or you're either that, but these polls seem to indicate that. What's behind that?
Well, I would say that, part of what you said is actually sort of what I think gives us a little bit of confidence, is that you see multiple polls and they're showing you similar things. They may be contacting people different ways, they may be defining the electorate slightly differently, but you're still seeing a relatively close picture. Ultimately, as a pollster, I would love it if a result was 70-30, one way or the other, because I can't be that wrong.
Yeah.
What's hard is when the result is 51-49, because either you were really accurate or you were dead wrong. And so I think maybe that's part of what you're expressing in some ways, that regardless of all that's happened in the last month, what Harris's entrance into this race has done in some ways is put us back into something of a steady state. And that steady state is very competitive election at the national level. And it's going to be hard to know what the outcome is until we get there.
We know lots could change even in the weeks and months we have before November. So who knows what we'll be discussing with you next time we have you on. But Josh Blank with the Texas Politics Project, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.